Next up will be Ivan. Yeah, I will do this introduction. So Ivan is creator of Factum Erit, a conversational task management platform that connects AI Claude to structured database via MCP. It's tasks captured in natural language and real state, not just a chat window. He started his career as a program analyst at Canadian Mellon, spent 20 years covering financial technology as editor and analyst, and returned to building software in 2024.
That's, here we are.
Yeah, I'll leave you to
Okay.
it.
All right, thank you. It's great to have another Schneider here. We're blocking the thing off. And quite a segue, because 30 years ago I was in New York, working in Manhattan as a database programmer. And then I left the field. I went to business school and I forgot how to do everything. So I started writing about technology basically for banking, bank systems and technology. That was my field. I worked for a magazine called Bank Systems and Technology. And then I started my own company and came out here. I was writing about tech. Anyway, it's been a long time since I have rocked and rolled. So it's wonderful to be back here. And the way I came back was I started with low code, doing like Power Platform stuff. And then I found the wonderful world of Python, and I became an expert at that. And now I'm becoming an expert in Postgres. That's it. All right, and we are now the PyGrease community. So anyway, I built onto the show. It's called C, like CTAC, Schema Evolution Automation. Because the thing about your schemas is, you're probably all creationists. You create your schemas and then you never touch them again. They're like stone tablets. And you have your 10 commandments, and you don't mess with them after that. But I'm like, well, wait, we have these robots now that can go in and patch things up. And that's what a lot of people do with their tech, right? They send the code base to an agent and it goes fine. But I said, let's do that programmatically, shall we? So we're gonna play like basically roulette here. I basically suggested a database schema based on a random Wikipedia page, and it found, which is perfect, Legs McNeil, and so it came up with, and it generates. Oops, where do we go here? The schema. Oh, that's. I'm gonna find that somewhere. Let me find. Okay, this is a different schema. So I can basically ingest any. What I do is let me just show you. It's easier that way. All right, we're gonna build something. I'm gonna roll the dice. So this is going to the Claude API, and it's going to say, based on whatever page we get, something. So let's cross our fingers and hope we get something fun. Because if not, I'll have to do a little dance or something like that. Here we go. So based on that, this is Diomat articles. This is the administrative geography database for Mali. It'll track the country's hierarchical administrative structure. Oh, this is pretty cool, right? Everybody likes geographical systems. Cool? Let's do it. So it also says, oh, here it is. Okay, so regions, users, census records, administrative units, circles. That must be the name of the administrative unit, right? And then let's go. I got to see some data here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say seed this. And now it's going to basically just create some just cheap records so we can see what it looks like in the tables. Okay, it's going to generate 10 sample rows. So we were going to get some Timbuktu action here. This is going to be fun. So the whole life cycle of this is it's generating the drawings using Mermaid, but the fun part is, see, we all make our database schemas, right? And then we build layers on top of it. We have an object relational layer, right? And then we have maybe our tests that go on the object relational layer. And then on top of that, you put an API. And on top of the API, you start plugging it into other stuff, right? Okay, so now let's see. There's our sample data, which we can use there. And so And then on top of in the API, you have the front end, right? So we all know. And so when you make a change, if I decide, hey, this is nice, but let's say, like renaming a table is a real challenge. You guys don't do it because it'll probably drop your table and you have to add it and you have to deal with migration. But I would say let's use Molly terminology for the field names. And so what I do is I take in the whole code base, your models.py, and basically everything else I can find, and I read it into a code syntax tree, right? So I'm not using grep to do replacements. I'm not using an agent to say, I think I got it, I did it. No, I use an actual testable mechanism to go in and make all the changes. So here we go. This should be your intuition here, right? So, okay, we're making some changes. The risk, this is my migration automation recipes. Is this a safe change to make your database? And the answer is no. You're changing everything about it. Don't do it. In the old world, don't do it. We're in the new world now. UMI is use my interface. That also means C in Japanese. I'm connecting things together here. So if you have a REST client, if you have an Avro client, it's going to break. And this tells you, don't do it in the old world. And this is why. But now I have a mitigate function which will basically go through your whole code base and make the changes so that it'll basically create an API that you can use. If you have or something for Kafka, if you're using that, it'll tell you what you do. So let's see if we can refresh that or not. So then let me show you the front end, because that's also fun. So it shows you the sample data, and you can clear it when you're done setting it up. So here's your regions. So I have now a working database that I just generated based on the query. But wait, there's more. So here's your schema, right? So you can see the map view too. I have the crab. What's the crab? Okay. So I'm going to add the crab to the pot, and I'm going to suggest a data policy, and it's now going to say, based on what the schema is and based on what this data set is, we're going to have some rules here. So we're saying, okay, population figures, blah blah blah. We'll figure it out. Anyway, I don't know. We're gonna let the agent figure it out. So I'm going to generate an MCP server, which now has generated successfully 7 tables, 9 tools. So now I click on Restart Claude Desktop. It's going to send a signal to Claude, which should reboot. Come on, baby. And then we could start asking it about the database we just built. So here we are. And I say, tell me about the Mali population database. And so this is now the front end to the database. Gotta give it a little permission here. So first it says, remember that policy we wrote? That's the that's basically the metadata about what I actually give it the link to the Wikipedia file, and I give it a link to this is all the notes that we generated when we made it. Here's a full note. There it is. So now it's kind of empty. It all has that temp data, right? So it has regional, blah, 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 blah. Now what I want to, since I don't want to use my API credits to generate actual data, you don't do a big load, when you paint a nickel shot, which isn't expensive in the scheme of things, but come on. Let's go back here, and I'm going to go to the ship, and I'm going to clear the sample data. That's gone. So now I could say, hey, let's generate some data. I cleared out the tables, so you are good to go. And now it does my data entry. So so that's what I've been doing with it is, so here's some projects I've been working on, and I started with the simple stuff. I want to do a potluck, right? Well, let's just start another one. They're so easy to make. Oh, the other. Go ahead.
On the Molly database, I was just curious what tools it came up with.
Oh, let's see what Oh, what tools in the?
Just now, like when you asked it to make the MCP server, I'm just curious what it came up with.
Oh, well, I always have CRUD, and then I always have like basically bulk, like so you don't have to fish it. But you can just go into Claude and say, make me a new tool to do this. I want to do this query with this thing, and it can update the.
It did it on the fly though just now, like while you were demoing this.
Yeah.
Like, did you kind of like give it that guidance in the back end to say create these kind of tools, or did it just do that?
No, I mean no. This is I'm basically standing on the shoulders of giant models to let them do all the work, so that I don't have to. Speaking of work, I'm kind of looking for some, but that's the other part of the conversation. So we have our circles, we have our communes across these circles. Let's see if we can see how we're looking. So here we go. Let me generate there. Oh, that's right. I lost the context from the. This is a poly geography. All right. So here we go. See that works. Okay. Here we go. So, yeah. That's so the vision for this is. I want people should be able to use this. I mean, there's been a big barrier between what enterprise systems can do for companies that can afford them, and the gap with organizations that are unable to do them because of the affordability of So anyway, I think that now we're in a new age of like this. And the other thing is, if I could do this, and I've been at this for 30 years, this is coming. This is the future. So we might as well get ahead of it, figure out how to take this type of approach, and because I think this is going to work great for the potluck. I think it's going to work great for organizations up to small, medium size. I think where it gets complicated is if you're trying to cure cancer or do something like that. That's where we're going to need the people who can tune the databases, who can come up with what are the tools that And actually, let's just ask the question. Describe the tools you have for this piece, and we'll get your answer there. So I think it's just okay. So we can inspect policies and policy. Yeah, just credit. And let me do the one more thing. I loaded up, I created a CDM library. So this is all just connected to a local thing. You can connect this to anyone. You could set it to observer mode or operator mode. So if you don't trust the code at first, you can basically say, you have to trust that the switch works. But anyway, if you don't want to accidentally break it, you could basically put it into read-only mode. But I made a CDM library. I looked for all the CDM, the common data models like Microsoft and so forth. If the license allowed it, I basically said, okay, let's look at this. There's a blog, or contacts, or CRM, or e-commerce, or oh, there's healthcare. So let's say I want to do healthcare for Mali, right? So I go, and they have facilities, providers, healthcare, insurance, all this kind of stuff. You want to look at these. Let's just apply it to the project, okay? And here's the apply plan, and I'm going to apply the 8 changes. And now, when I go back to my entity relationship diagram, hopefully, oh, look at that. They got providers. They got the whole thing. It's a giant database. Now, it basically took in the tables from that. It did the live merge, and now I can. So we're talking about remix now. I could sit here and make my punk rock database talk to my my record library. Talk to my where are the parks or where are the clubs at? Where's so there's stuff you could do here. It's really powerful, and I'm glad to show it to you guys first. Any questions? Yeah.
You go first.
I'd just be curious. You've already got geolocation data in there. Like, could you mix that healthcare data with the geolocation data to say where are these healthcare facilities relative to this geodata?
Yeah, I suppose. Let's see. So I'll do a new chat. I mean, how would you evolve how would you describe the new database? What tables are we missing right now?
let's say I want to know which regions or circles of Mali have the most healthcare facilities
Okay.
based on the new data.
Well, how can we model that? Okay. So yeah, I think basically so that's the point about schema evolution. We can evolve the schema. We can take the schema we have, add the tables that capture the information you have. So here we go. So you have, it says, all right, you have the tables already. You have the healthcare tables. So to answer that question, you just need to connect the things you have. So you need a link table. So let's do that. It's just a simple add field, and there it is. So and then if I come back to let's see, so we wanted to know, yeah. So let's copy that question. Let's see here. Update the database with information you can find about that, and you know. Jeremy.
In the process of building this, was there anything that surprised you? Like, because you used Claude, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like
Claude and
Here's what
Augment.
the experience was like, and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest mistake you can make with AI is not to dream big enough. Really, I think like I thought of this last October, November, like because I was building, like I was like, okay. I spent a year building Power Platform stuff, which gave me like the low code. This is what an enterprise system looks like in the year 2023, 24, right? And then I did slow code, which was like I did test-driven development of Python, the Goat book, and that's just like how do you check every step? So you know, slow and low, that's tempo. You know, and then when you plug AI into that and you use that thinking. It was the right mix, and it was like the cheat code. And
Can you expound on that? What you just said? What do you mean, like apply that?
yeah, because and I gave a talk on this at the last September at the Python meetup, where I basically did a talk saying, how do you program with AI? Right? Do you just go in and say, solve my problem? It's doing the inserts, it'll take care of that. Do I just solve the problem like in a single prompt? Okay, that's one way to do it. The second way to do it is, do you write a big spec file and then shove the spec file into the system and say, do this spec? That's type 2. Type 3 is what the Goat book taught me, was you tell the AI, write the tests first, and then write the code. And you have to kind of twist its arm and say, don't write the code, I want to see the tests, because then it turns out the code was better. And then I did a fourth level, which was, before you accept the test, I want you to do mutation testing to break the tests, so make sure the tests are great. And that's also something you learn from the Goat book. So, and then I came up with, I'm like, oh great, I could write code now. And you know, mind blown, I could do whatever in code, big code bases, or just little code bases stacked on top of each other. So then I'm like, okay, now what? I'll show you, a little show and tell with this one. I built a thing called survey software, which I did, like basically, I made a library of every algorithm I could think of, like a Dewey Decimal System, and did deep research on each one, because I'm thinking, I don't want to have to reinvent how to do a binary search tree if there are binary search trees, but which one should I use? So I did research into every one of these things to say, here's the time search libraries, and if you're going to do it, what's the use case you're going to do? Why would you use this one versus that one? And this is all available as a Claude skill. So you could basically tell Claude, okay, so let's go back to Claude, and I say, using survey of software, I want to do a portal to, help people find healthcare in Mali. And it'll suggest which algorithms, which libraries, and which categories would be most useful to that case. So now I don't have to stop what I'm doing and do a 20-minute research deep dive, because I already did it in parallel using all these credits, and I basically dumped the whole thing out there. And so now I can program with that base. So the next level on that, I say I could build stuff. So I started building, like, so instead of generate a website, you generate a machine that makes websites. So I made I basically made a website generator. I was doing it for a tourism app. I had an idea for it. It didn't quite work, but okay, great. Customer fit and all that. But the next idea, wait a minute, databases. How do I automate the creation of database schemas? And that's where this idea came from. And when I came to, how did I find out about CST? That was right through here. I had never heard of that before. I don't even know how to spell it. So that's where we're at. So we're on time, yeah.
So have you done any kind of benchmarking on the accuracy of its output or the time comparison from 0 to completed project, cleaning up any AI hallucinations, making it maintainable, everything to a final product, compared to not using the AI tools at all? Any benchmarking on those times?
Well, what I hope that the answer is no. It's still a slapping wings on my arms and flapping. But what the CST approach means that it's testable as an algorithm. I'm not counting on having the AI do the work of finding all the places. So basically, I'm saying if you rename this field, if I want to rename this field, if I change all these names, is that provably the fix? Are there any edge cases that are, and I think that in most cases with database schema changes, you can actually draw a big circle around it and say, yeah, we solved it. So I don't think it's a completely insoluble problem at a certain scale. I think once you get beyond a point, it's going to break. But that's the next problem. Yeah.
So it's not quite as fancy, but there's a Python tool called Migra that Supabase adopted.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what it lets you do is write a SQL schema declaratively, like you just write what tables you want. And then when you make changes, the CLI does a diff between the current and the expected schema, and then does migration generation for you. So if you wanted to build on top of that,
Yeah.
that might give you a little bit of veracity.
How do you spell that?
Migra, Python.
Okay. All right, I'll take a look. That's more no, appreciate it. All right. Thank you. Sure.
We're going to take a 10-15 minute break.
Let me just do one thing.
Yeah.
Anybody want?
10 minutes. Remember the Pac-Man rule. Have some deep surfaces any left, and we'll one more look talk, and then you can all tell us about stuff. Thank you.